Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Before starting, subscribe and like the videos, it really helps. The content from this video are taken from the web novel and manga series of Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation. Now please enjoy the video. Part 2. My feelings proved correct. I metastasized to an unknown passageway. Some of the magic formations that I marked had moved, and it seemed that I was naturally being driven towards another demon's den. The moment I saw, I realized it was impossible. Demons were piling on the corpses of the other dead demons onto the magic formation. Is it because the demons don't metastasize into that narrower room after all? Since it's become like this, then there is no option left other than to get ready to take the plunge. All while fighting this crowd, I did think their formation was beautiful. A heap of corpses, defending the metastasis magic formation that leads to my refuge. The demons are deployed radially around it. At the vanguard are the Iron Crawler, who have moved in front and devoted themselves as the front line of defense. On top of them are the Death Road Tarantula, evil red spiders, moving and stopping occasionally to spit out threads while on top of the backs of the Iron Crawler. At the rear guard is what looks like a huge clay doll standing there, the Mad Skull, shooting out clumps of rock. I began to weave my magic while thinking, this is clearly an army. Oh, armor of the majestic land, gather around me and become my trappings, Earth Fortress. The surrounding soil began to take the form of a fortress around me. Eventually, it covered the top of my head. I became protected within the dome. However, I had to stop once it reached a certain height. I don't need it to reach the ceiling. If it's to the extent of my chest height, it is enough to block the charge of the Iron Crawlers. Oh, falling rain, I call upon you to scatter, and flood the whole world. Water splash. Innumerable drops of water suspend themselves aloft around me, and then become bullets which tear through the area. However, as the offensive power of this magic is extremely low, the demons were barely kept at bay by this spell. I understood that, though. So, I began chanting the next spell immediately. Blue Goddess, fly down from heaven and wave the scepter which would frost the world. Icicle Field. All the demons' exteriors, which were covered in the sticky water droplets from before, made a hard sound as they quickly froze solid. Water Splash, and Icicle Field, and then the melded magic, Frost Nova. The entire forward guard of the demon army came to a complete stop. I still had to hammer more magic in there. Advanced level magic. King of Frost, supreme ruler of the great snowfields, clad in white, O King of Naught, who reaps all passion, cold-hearted king, which rules the frozen death. Blizzard Storm. The magic that I shortened was complete. A spear of ice shot out towards the entire area. It flies out in a wide arc before me. The spear of ice pierced into the demons behind the frozen vanguard, one after another. I did not manage to defeat the enemy vanguard. While statues of ice play the role of the wall, I chant advanced magic, and instead struck at the back row. When I traversed the labyrinth near Sharon, this was the strategy I learned. The strategy of victory. However, just as I thought, at the same time the demons in the back row are dying. Demon after demon springs up from the metastasis magic formation. Stepping over the pile of demons I just defeated, the new wave of demons filled the room at a surprising pace. Is it no good after all? The room quickly became full of demons in no time. My heart quickly became full of despair, as well. At the same time the room filled, I began to lose my composure. This is bad. I can't break through if I don't first do something about that mountain of dead bodies. However, I don't have enough hands. From the distance, the Mad Skull sends a rock bullet flying. Part of the Earth Fortress is destroyed, and the Iron Crawlers who had their movement dulled, began to restlessly squirm through the gap. A cold sweat slowly rose to the surface of my spine. Flaming sword of my charge, tear my enemies to pieces. Flame slice. The blade of flame sprung forward, and the shell of the Iron Crawler is made red hot. The Iron Crawler writhed around as it died. Iron Crawlers are weak to fire. However, it is not a good idea to use fire in a cavern. It's like something is tied around my neck. I have no choice but to use it. Oh, armor of the majestic land, gather around me and become my trappings, Earth Fortress. Once more, I create a wall of soil. The residual amount of magic I possess steadily decreases. I must hurry. What's the best way to do it? How can I survive? Think. I defeat demons absent-mindedly while I think about how to survive. However, I cannot think of any way. Have I finally been checkmated? Is it already time for it to end? Is it here that I am to die, after all? Even as I continue working to kill demons, I think so. Ah, My feet stagger. My head swims. I feel the magic power inside of me beginning to dry up. I know I will faint after I fire off a few more spells. I don't want to. I grab onto my staff. I do not want to die. I do not want to die. Even though I think this, in my mind, one thing after another begins to resurface. Soon after I was born, I remembered my parents' disappointed faces. In the quiet village I lived in, I was the only one unable to talk with the others. My parents pitied me and taught me words. I was impressed by the magician who came to visit my village, and so I learned magic. I rushed out of the village, knowing only beginner rank water magic. After I headed out, I met 3 boys. I traveled with them as an adventurer for many years. One of the companions died, and so the party dissolved. Then, I traveled to Central Continent. I had met many people, and thereby came to know of the Magic Academy. I then entered the academy. I took a class for the first time, and I was impressed. I got a good score on a test, and the results of my practical skills test made others jealous. I talked about many things with my friend in the dormitory. When I became advanced rank, I met my Shisho. From Shisho, I learned Saint class water magic, and it came to the point where I could easily use it on the spur of the moment. My Shisho said this and that, and got angry. I graduated around then, and left to travel without saying anything to my Shisho. I thought myself good enough to work in the Asura capital city, so I traveled there. However, with no work to be had, I gradually moved towards the border. And at the border, with no work to be found either, I was at a loss. But, it was then that I found the piece of paper asking for a tutor. I met Paul and family, and I had also met Rudy. I was surprised to see the love affair of Paul and his family. I was excited and jealous of the talent Rudy had. I watched Rudy, who did not get carried away with magic like I did, and my feelings of respect towards him rose. Once I had taught Rudeus water saint class magic, I had left. I began to dive into the labyrinth near the Chiron kingdom. After traversing the labyrinth, I had become employed by Chiron Kingdom. I taught magic to Prince Pax, and it was dreadfully different than when I taught Rudy. I realized the lack of talent I had as a teacher. A letter came one day from Rudy, and I worked very hard to make a book on the demon god language for him. I found myself disgusted with Chiron Kingdom, and so I left. It was then that I heard of the metastasis event. I met Elinalise and Talhand. I was surprised at how free Elinalise and Talhand were. I traveled around the magic continent. I met my parents again after so long, and was able to confirm that they truly did love me after all. Then, I met Kishrika. And then, such scenes streamed inside my head in an instant. An iron crawler approaches in front of me. The room is warmed by the heat of the previously cast fire magic, so the effect of frost nova has weakened. It's already over. I do not want to die. I hate this. I hate this. No, I swung my staff around awkwardly. Sticky threads come flying at me, and entwine my staff. In an instant, my staff falls to the ground. I do not want to die. Help me, somebody. I edge backward, but there is a wall behind me. An iron crawler approaches. How many of these are there? I can't cast any more magic spells. Am I going to be eaten alive like this? I hate it. Why does it have to be like this? Somebody, please save me. I guess I'll never be able to meet my mother again. At that moment, that was my final thought. And, as the demon who approached before me, I squeezed my eyes shut tightly. Part 3. I waited for an eternity, but that moment never came. Did I die instantly? As I thought that, I realized I wouldn't have been able to think that if I was already dead. I am unable to reason what has happened. However, I no longer hear any sounds. Perhaps, I have already appeared here in the world after death. I'm scared, but I open my eyes. Filling my view was a sight beyond anything I could have ever imagined. It was a world of ice. Death Road Tarantula, Iron Crawler, and Mad Skull. All had become statues of pure white ice. The Mad Skull, which was inside the inner part, collapsed with a crunching sound and fell apart. The skull and the main body cracked and collapsed onto the ground with a loud sound, similar to a window breaking. It was completely frozen to the very core. Compared to my own Frost Nova, which only freezes the surface, this power is in another league entirely. I doubt there is a demon left alive after this. I don't understand what just happened. I reached for my staff, while being confused. Hiya. The staff was so cold, that I dropped it instinctively. In this world of silence, I heard a clanging sound. Was that the reaction to the sound? One voice reached my ear. What a relief, walking confidently between the statues of ice, it was a solitary young man. The moment I laid eyes on him, I began to feel my heart beating really fast. It was the man of my dreams. Features that seemed kind, and hair that seemed to be soft. He was tall and wearing a robe, but despite appearing to be a magician, he also seemed to be solidly built. Dressed in gray robes and holding a large staff, he came towards me. He looked down at me with a face that seemed to be openly relieved. "EHH? Eh?" I was embraced tightly. It was a warm, powerful, and reliable pair of arms wrapped around me. It was a lightly sweet scent mixed with a little bit of sweat. However, it seemed to be a nostalgic smell to me. He squatted down, and buried his face into the nape of my neck, and as he inhaled deeply he was moved to profound emotions. "Sue, you," and then I had noticed something. I had not had any kind of a bath for about a month. Ah! The second I realized this, I pushed him away. "What's this?" His face had a surprised look. "Ah, I'm hopeless. I did something inexcusable like that. Even though he just came to rescue me. Ah, but still, I don't want to be thought of as stinking. Ah, no, wait, do I really need to worry about such a thing right now? What's this? I can't follow this line of thought. Sorry, I think it may be a little smelly." Smelly, is it? Ah, I'm sorry. I received a bit of a shock when he started to smell his sleeves. Ah, not that. I meant myself. Because I have been trapped in here for a month now. Oh, that's what you meant. Well, I don't happen to mind it, you know. Well, I do happen to mind it. I shouldn't have said that. Well, it was fine as it is thought. I should first give him my thanks. Then, I should properly hear his name. Thank you very much for taking the time to rescue me. No, it's only natural that I do. Only natural? No companion I know would feel any kind of obligation that would make them try and rescue me from certain death from such an amazingly large crowd of demons. Oh yes, his name. I must hear his name. Ahem, pleased to meet your acquaintance just now. I happen to be called Roxy Migardia. If it is at all possible, would you please allow me the honor to receive your name? After I said that, he suddenly froze like a statue. Did I say something strange? Just now, pleased to meet my acquaintance? Ah, have we met somewhere else before now? If that's the case I am truly very sorry, but I cannot seem to remember it at all. Come to think about it now, I have a funny feeling that I have seen someone like him before. Now, where could it have been? He does seem to look just a little bit like Paul San. Could I really have forgotten such a person? I can't seem to remember you. He looked blue in the face. Did I anger him? Whether I like it or not, I have certainly met someone like him somewhere. There's something about his face I can recall, something from a long time ago certainly. Remember, his head bobbed from side to side, and he staggered backward several steps. Suddenly, it seemed like he was holding something back in his mouth and then while making a sick face. He vomited. That little boy Rudy, after such a small amount of time, had grown up to become an adult that I now knew as Rudeus Graret. Paul San and everyone else who caught up shortly after had brought me back to safety, and it was then that I understood how narrowly I had escaped death. That's it guys, thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want more and don't forget to like the videos.